Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm your host, Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me at the market site in Times Square, New York City, we have John Copeland. He's the Vice President of Marketing and Customer Insights over at Adobe. And we're going to take a look at holiday 2019 consumer trends off of the Adobe Analytics Holiday Shopping Report. We're going to learn about when consumers are spending, how they are spending, and what products they are spending their money on. John, it's great to have you with me at MarketSite, and the amount of data that Adobe collects is quite incredible. Before we get to our charts here, tell us what that process is like.
Yeah, it's great. Adobe is uniquely positioned to look at over 1 trillion visits to retailer websites around the US. We monitor 80 of the top 100 retailers in the country. We're keeping track of over 55 million SKUs. And all of that data, and we've been doing it for a handful of years now, that really works into our models to predict what we expect to see every holiday season.
Yeah, so long are the days of the analysts taking counters and going into the malls to check out foot traffic. Let's take a look at our first chart here, and this is consumer spend and what they're spending their money on.
Yeah, so what you can see over here is, we're looking at the historic, let me get out of the shot, 2018, 126 billion. That's what we saw last year over the entire holidays online. This year we're expecting 143.8 billion, so about a 15% increase. So far we're at 81.5. That's about a 15% increase relative to the same date last year. Over here on the far right, we're getting a lot of questions about this. What are consumers buying? So some of the top products include the LOL Surprise Dolls, anything with Frozen 2 branded on it, Nintendo Switch, VR devices, Samsung TVs. We're also seeing, kind of almost in anticipation of the release later this month, Star Wars. So some of the video games from Star Wars are starting to show up too. I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see those pop there.
All right, let's move along to our next one here. This is revenue and device preference for our next chart over here. So this is how people are spending based on where they are doing it from.
That's right. It's the share of visits to sites as well as the share of dollars being purchased by device. So interestingly, what we see, the white bars here are what percentage of traffic to retailers is coming from either desktop, smartphone, or tablet. And for the second or third year in a row, we can see that smartphones are actually driving 58% of traffic. So people prefer to shop and visit retailer sites from their phones. Desktops still have the majority of purchases, 59%, but smartphones are picking up. It's 36% this year of purchases. Yesterday, in fact, Cyber Monday was our first day ever where we saw over $3 billion purchased on smartphones. So people are clearly getting very comfortable with that.
Oh, guilty as charged. That's for sure. And that number continues to grow steadily every year in terms of how they're getting traffic to the sites.
That's right. So far this year, the site visits and the purchases from smartphones are growing at about 20% year to date.
All right, let's move along to our final chart here. We're going to take a look at some products here and the best days to buy.
Yeah, so this is where our history and all of the data that Adobe Analytics has to work with really come in handy, because we can see trends on when different categories of products are likely to be the most discounted. So yesterday, Cyber Monday, best day to get a TV. Not just the off-brand or the older inventory, but category as a whole, best day to get a TV, about 19% relative to retail price, average retail price. Today, furniture and bedding. Also, it's probably off the bottom of the page, tools and home improvement, savings about 9%. So, it's a great site to go to in advance of the season, because we will set you straight on when the best days to buy in different categories are.
All right, and expectations for the remainder of holiday 2019 still appear to be really strong.
Yeah, very strong. In fact, we're seeing increased preference of cell phones. We're also seeing increased preference of buy online, pick up in store. That's actually grown over 40% this year so far. And one of the things we're seeing is stores that have that as an offering have a 20% better conversion rate for their traffic than stores that don't.
All right, John, thanks so much for joining us at MarketSite. Happy holidays to you and the Adobe family.
To you.
And thank you for joining me on Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.